Right, looks like we're live. Okay, I'm just gonna confirm it and get back to you in a second. Yeah. Alright, we are live. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Roaring Pixels. It's another cold, foggy October morning here in Telford. It's easily one of my favorite months of the year. So yeah, it's really beautiful outside actually. Once you get through the cold, initial cold of the morning, um, yeah, the rest of the day is pretty mild, lovely for a walk, and see those autumn leaves falling off. Great colors, really. Anyway, so here we are back with our lion. This is where we left off. One thing I did last night is you might notice if anybody's been following the stream is previously maybe I have the tool to show you. This is how bulky he was, and you could see how thick the neck was, and also the upper body and the scapulae are quite wide, um, making him look a bit like his prehistoric ancestors. But I made him a lot skinnier in around the neck and also the rest of the body, and some of these arms as well. Tucked them in. I think I briefly touched upon this one last week on Sunday, and that's because although I wanted him quite bulky, the lions that we see in the wild include the fur coating, right? They do have a thick fur coat, so I need to give an inch for that. So if I say go transparent here, you can see that there's that much of a difference, right, between the bulkier version that I sculpted and this will help for the groom to cover. So that's what we're going to cover with the fur, and then you look as bulky as the other one, the other sculpt, and you see all the ears and also the cheeks. And what I used to achieve this is in the deformation here, I used inflate balloon and sort of negative inflated him twice, and then went with the move topological brush in some areas to create more of a gap. And obviously, like this muscle here, there's a lot of gap because I just changed the design itself. I don't intend to. Um, well, I don't see this as difference between just the fur and the skin, but actual change in anatomy a bit. And to be fair, the reason I didn't pay a lot of attention to this is none of my references were giving any clues, because obviously there's thick mane covering this area. So I was watching a lot of these lionesses in the last week to try and get this to look more accurate. But anyway, that's the overview of what I was the biggest change that I made offline. So just so you know. And then here, as I promised, I went and put some geometry for the nails. I don't know if these are going to be the final ones, whether I'll tweak them or not. To be fair, if my textures are looking good and the SSS subsurface scattering, um, is doing the job, I don't think I'll be showing a great deal of these nails once they're covered with fur. So I'm happy with the way they look uh, right now. It's really basic, and yeah, to be fair, the under part of these they need to look a lot sharper like knives, right? And I don't see that at the moment, but I'm gonna leave them for now. So today, as promised, we will tackle some UV mapping, and we'll also do something with the eyes because I haven't done anything to the eyes except put some placeholders. But while we're at it, might be worth just sculpting some details, looking at some eye references, and then we go into Blender and yeah, prepare this guy for texturing in Mari. Another thing to consider, even before, or while we do our polygrouping, let's say, or maybe before, let's do it now, is getting him into production shape, production pose rather, because this pose is like sort of a neutral pose that was good enough for sculpting, but um, I'm thinking in terms of whether this is how I want him for the rigging phase, and I'm thinking, well, the tail definitely, I don't want it curved. It needs to be straight, right? Like if you saw any um, rigging videos, we always start from a T pose or an A pose, and for a creature like this, the equivalent of that would be anything like bendy stuff like this. You want it to keep it straight, but at a slight angle, right? So an A pose equivalent of this tail is what I'm looking for. So let's see. And this is also consistent with what MPC have done with their Scar model. If you haven't seen that, uh, just you go to YouTube and say search for MPC Scar breakdown, and it should come up. And a lot of this, I'm what I'm doing is I'm copying the masters as best as I can, uh, but also taking my own shortcuts or convenience changes, whatever you want to call it, because it's my personal project and I'm exploring stuff as well. Alright, so here, let's say I wanted this angle, because when you straighten this, I don't want it to go through the floor. And there is actually a nice brush. The Anchor Classic might help with this. Does it? I may have to mask more of it though. So if I say control, yeah, mask that much and rotate. So we want to rotate. And then you can come back here, rotate it more, and we can adjust with more topological the rest of it. Don't want to smooth it. Just gently making it as straight as possible. Thanks for confirming, Swati. My wife just, helping me, making sure that the stream is working well enough. Okay, that's nice. Maybe I can bring this part down. So I'm trying to make it as straight as possible, like a straight line joining two dots, because when I add the bones for rigging, it's easier if I have a straight line for the skinning purposes. So that's one thing sorted. But another thing is obviously the mouth. I mean, at the moment I've had it like slightly open with the mouth, right, and also the teeth. What I like to do is have it fully closed. That's another thing that is always done in production. You want the mouth closed and let the rig take care of opening and closing and so on. Sometimes I don't mind doing it like this, but if you went ahead and rigged it with an open mouth, and when you close the mouth, you often don't get the correct uh, pose when you close. I did this with one of my chimpanzee models, where I rigged it with a slightly open mouth. But what I had to do is when it closed its mouth, I needed to add a blend shape to correct the shape. So you need to add that corrective shape for just that extra movement where the mouth is fully closed. But it's advisable to actually rig while it's fully closed, so you don't have to worry about that extra blend shape. Saves you some work, I guess. So I want to close this properly by masking the lower jaw. So this is where the joint is, and maybe isolate this guy so we get all of the bottom jaw only, bottom gums rather, whatever this is called. Am I getting the top? No. There is a little bit of a... Ah, no, I thought there's an artifact here, but that's just faces from the roof of the mouth. And just to the end. Hopefully that captured all the pixels, all the words. Nothing from the top. We don't want any of these. Okay, let's reveal and invert this mask. Align it somewhat like that. See what happens. Okay, one other thing to do is click this sticky, and because we have let me show. So we have the bottom teeth showing and not the top. So whatever's visible when you not sticky, what's this called? All subtools. Um, it works on all the visible subtools. So when we move this now, you see it's moving the teeth and also the eyes, which we don't want. So I'm going to hide the eyes and the whiskers. We don't need to worry about them. Although the eyes are really temporary, and we are just about to model new ones. But let's not move anything we don't need to. And also turn off perspective. I think this is the angle. No, you can go further. And you may have to sculpt some of that detail or open it a little bit. And I think this is more to do with the shape of the lips. So yeah, I mean from the front it looks closed, and yeah, we can just say that that's the neutral pose we can rig in. And also this looks close, but it also has that much gap, so I can grab these vertices for skinning. Because if it's like too attached or um, goes through one another, that's another problem as well. So this I think is the best compromise, where it is closed but not touching each other. So the reason I had it slightly more open before was obviously to be able to sculpt the insides of the mouth, which we don't need to do anymore. So I'm happy to close it back. And the teeth are in there. So if I just reveal the top teeth, what is that doing? Yeah, just sitting inside. Perfect. Okay, so that was the little admin stuff I needed to do. Just going to check how it's looking at the highest subdiv level, and then we're going to save it and start our polygrouping. There we go. Let's Control S. Right. Now it's time for polygrouping. So I'm going to guess where I need my UV islands first. I mean, we obviously already have one for the insides of the eyes and the insides of the mouth. Uh, so I'm going to isolate just the part here. In fact, let's start with the ears because they're very easy to separate. So the way we can do this is by control shifting, and then when we get the select rectangle brush, we have some options here, and we want to select the lasso. The lasso lets us hide edge loops when you click like that, instead of the whole polygroup. So I'm going to get to the actual loop that goes all around, which is I think this one. Right, and then maybe do it a few more times. Oops. So if you click a face, the entire thing goes away. You want to click on the edge. And just to make the separation easier, I'm going to hide away a few edge loops. Yeah, and then I can do it this way. Just make sure it's at the right angle, so you're not grabbing any of the faces that you don't want to grab. So let's check. It's all good. So control and invert the selection. Control W. That's it. Give it a nice color that you like. Maybe this. So it's too similar to the other one, so maybe another time. Yeah, purple. Oh, that's too similar to this. Let's change it. Now I want to hit the face. Okay, so that's one group. And the next one, now isolate the rest of it and try to find a spot. So the head obviously gets quite a bit of texture space, but even more so is the nose. That's the thing that gets a lot. Let's see if we can somehow say grab this first and then start to hide away some of the loops. No, that won't work. I'll just get rid of this part. Now I need to keep this. So let's just say this is one group. Maybe I'll separate this jaw, the underside of it. Okay. Yeah, I'll always just allow it to do its autosaves because you need it, trust me. Sculpting is so much fun that you get lost in the process and forget to save. So every 20 minutes, if ZBrush wants to autosave or quick save, whatever it is, let it do its thing. Even if sometimes it can be distracting and annoying, just let it do its thing. That's the best advice I can give you. Should I grab the entire loop? Let's see. Right. Let's do this way. I don't think I'm doing this well enough. That's not too bad, actually. Let's make these disappear. How come this is not? That's really odd. Is there no symmetry? Maybe not. Okay, so the nose, maybe we don't need these two either, so make it nice and round. I'm going to hide everything else and separate these extra polys. Control W, and you have the nose separated. Okay. And I want this part to be its own polygroup, so Control W. Oh, it's too similar. What's happened? Yeah. Control W, better. Nice. Again, because I don't mind having seams here, this is all going to be covered by the thick mane. In fact, for a creature like this, it really doesn't matter where there's seams. You just want to make sure that the nose is clear and this part here is mostly clear, the insides of the mouth. Because everything else is covered by the fur, so if there are any seams that are visible, but they're not really visible in the render because of the fur. But we'll try to just keep it as neat as possible. So that's the main bit, and the rest is we'll separate the paws and the body in its own uh, polygroups. And yeah, don't have to be too accurate or anal about these things. Just want to grab some tiles. Anything that we can clearly decipher or separate, like this part, that's a loop, right? So we go down from here until we get to the last of the loops there. No, actually, you might want to grow that selection. Visibility. So that grabbed all of the arms. So now one more shrink. Another. And then anything that belongs to the torso, we separate. And this. Oh, that's a loop that goes all the way down, so also this. Maybe this is what we need to get. Don't need that though. Okay. Let's do this for now. And we can add more polygons later to this if you like. Ah, I forgot to check what's going on down here, so... What happened here? Oh, something happened. We moved the whole geometry? Let me go back. That's weird. The nails are all over the place. Ah, I see. I see what happened. When we adjusted the jaw, I didn't hide the nails, so my mistake. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna have to wait now because I went back with the undo history. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't crash on me. Don't crash. It is taking its time. By the way, I just upgraded my ZBrush to the latest version last week, so there may be a few quirks in this version because it was never crashing before I did that. Let's go back here. One step. Yeah, I may have to go back to this nail subtool and hopefully it will let me it has its own undo history, even though we transposed all subtools. I think that's how it works when we did that. So when we closed the jaw, we used transpose all subtools, all the visible ones, and that's when this happened. So the nail should get its own undo history. If it does, then it's easy enough. We just go back. Right. We are back. Let's go to the nails, which is here. Nails. And subtool, go back, go back, go back to first. Nice. That fixed that. Coming back to our model. Gonna click save. So let's select this portion now. Let's isolate this portion. Make sure it is isolated. Control W. And from here, what I definitely want is separate these pads because they have a different. Oh, actually, they don't necessarily have a different color. Uh, but just so the selection is easier. So wherever there's loop, I'm gonna use that to separate these. So these polygroups, they end up being UV islands. Oh, if you do that, it just loses that. Actually, does it? I don't know. I'm a bit lost, but let's just manually, yeah, get rid of these first. I just want the fingers to be separate from those pads. Yeah, this is admittedly boring to watch, but it's okay. I mean, it's not like I do these streams for a lot of views anyway. It's something I do every Wednesday when I'm not working, and just broadcasting it in case it helps somebody, even if it's just one person. Oh, right. First of all, we should just solo it so we're not looking at any other subtools. Okay, let's see. We got all of it. Let's say yes. Maybe not. Okay, Control W. And that is sweet. And we can add these red bits to the rest of the arm. Let's select just the red. Deselect that. Control W. And now we have the blue. And then invert and hide the red. Invert. Control W. And that's one. But we want to separate this, so I'm going to grab all of that. Okay, there's something here. Control W. And now I think I'll separate it this way. There you go. It might help to enable double in the visibility display properties. Okay, now invert all of that, but hide this. We do have a... Is this all one group? Cool. Okay. Now let's separate the belly area. Not sure what I want to do with this flag. Maybe we'll cut it right in this middle. So let's say we make that disappear and use that as a guide. Visibility and grow. Okay, that's fine. Control W. Now separate the... Well, the easiest thing is to separate the tail. So let's do that. Okay, this loop, this loop, this loop. Let me separate this guy. there's one more here. There. That's gone. Let's polygroup this so it's easy to select again. And maybe that should have gone to the tail, this bit. Okay. Let's separate this again. Like that. Yeah, that's better. Oops, what happened there? Is it not symmetrical or something? It should be. That's better. Control W again. So invert, and so this you want to separate. Control W, and now we just join these two together. Yeah. So this invert, invert, Control W. Okay, now we can cut this up. So find a loop. I think it starts here. That's a good one. And we'll find one at the bottom. Will be this one here. Okay. And use them to keep going like this. So that's now 3 separate groups, and we'll separate obviously the pads. Oh, this is annoying. Let's do it like this. First of all, just do that, and from here make view disappear. topology on this is not that obvious to be able to separate it the way I want it, but it's okay. I'm going to just do the best I can. I definitely don't want these front bits. Okay, something. So let's group this. Yeah, that will do. This is already a separate group for some reason. I want this to be one. Okay, so now that we save this, we may try and use the UV Master C plugin. So polygroups work on clone in case we need to manipulate something. And here we say Z plugin. So all I'm looking for is to just separate the UVs. I'm not going to really UV unwrap in ZBrush. I just want to get a start, just the initial islands, which I can then go into Blender and properly UV unwrap later. So yeah, flatten, no, unwrap, and then C plugin and click flatten. So we have to go to freeze subdivision levels. Oh yeah, oh sorry, this is the one that's got layers. Okay, change your plans. Is this? I thought we were working on a clone. Maybe that didn't work either. Okay, let's go back to Madcap Gray. Duplicate this fella. And we shall apply layers on the duplicate. So where is it? So go to the top subdivision level. And layers and bake all. Did it have color baked as well? That's weird. Okay, color, fill object. And now we have a layer free geometry, so we should be able to work on clone now. So Z plugin, work on clone. Is this the clone? Yeah, CL. Yeah, okay. So Z plugin, polygroup symmetry, and unwrap. Current subtool unwrapped, 47 polygroups, 48 islands. So let's see plugin, say flatten, and this is what we get. I'm pretty sure the seams are not in the right place. Usually it does the opposite of what you want. And no, actually it looks okay. Let's see if I unflatten and say check seams. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think it got the seams on the face. It didn't mess up. I think that's because we already separated the bottom and the top. Anyway, so that's the bit I wanted to do. So Z plugin, now we can copy UVs, go back to the actual geometry, which is this. Z plugin, paste UVs, and there we have it. So if you want to check, you can always go to UV map and say morph UV, and it does a little morph. There you go. That's pretty good. I like what ZBrush gives you out of the bat. So wherever possible, I try to unwrap it in ZBrush and then just arrange the tiles in Blender. Just reduces a lot of work, especially with a model like this, which is going to be covered in fur. You don't have to be too anal with some of the UV work. Just take what comes with the plugins and accept that. Sweet. So I'm going to rename this guy here and say where's rename? There. Lion. What do you call him? Low res prod, because ideally prod mesh is the one that's subdivided once or twice. I said lion base mesh. Base mesh. Alright, just lay line base UV, because we'll arrange our tiles and then call that the base mesh. So what do we do next? Export. Export. So we have this plugin called FBX Export Import, which is really useful. And well, should we? Well, we'll export the skin and then we'll do the eyes and then export the eyes as well separately. So we just say selected. Make sure you do that, otherwise it'll just export all those high res stuff that you might have, which is going to take forever and you don't even need it. So I am obviously on the lowest subdivision level, so need to make sure that you're on that and then click export. I think there's something about, actually let's see what options we have. There should be something about the UVs, because the UVs in ZBrush are always inverted, so when you take it back into DCC like a Blender or Maya, you'll have to flip it. Flip the, I think the Y, flip in Y. But the plugin should do that for us. So I wanted to check if there's an option to do that, or if it's mentioning it anywhere. Try. So what about Scale Master? Exporting scale. There is definitely a plugin which does that. Is it multi-map exporter? Yeah, flip V. Yeah, the flip V is what I wanted. And so we can do export mesh flip V. So disable displacement, export mesh, make sure flip V is selected, and the map size would be 49:6, and say, well, it says create all maps, but it just exports the mesh because we haven't selected any of that. So what's that? Visible subtools. Yeah, let's just do it. Mesh export, quad, group, subdiv 1. So that's all good. So I'm going to click export, create all maps, and then here it lets me choose the location and base UV OBJ. So yeah, unless you want to export as an FBX, this is a nice way, I think, because you get to flip V, your UVs automatically. So maps created, exported. Great, thank you. Okay, let's do something with the eyes, because we have to sculpt them, right? So let's drop a sphere first, or maybe use the ones that we already have. Is it this one? Yeah, we may start with this. What I want to do is mask for the, take a bigger brush. Let's look at some references just to show you what I'm aiming for. Here's one for the eyes. As you can see, it pretty much covers, the iris covers the entire visible area, and then it's just a little bit on the side where you have the sclera. I forgot the names of them. So, which means if we just expand the mask a little bit, and the mask just say grow mask, keep growing. Right. Also blur it a little bit, and then invert it. You can get a move brush, maybe topological. Is it too dense for topology? No, it's fine. The mask is weird on that. let's just get the move brush, standard move. Turn off perspective. We're actually better off modeling this inside the outer bit. We just model it inside Blender. So with this, I'm going to invert the mask and just flatten it and make that iris. So move this back in. That way. So what's going on with the geometry? Subdiv 3, right? To subdiv 1. Just want to hide this. And Control W. Just Control W and refine this selection. Okay, that's two polygroups, but we also want to separate the center bit. Now, visibility, grow, when you get these two. They might have gotten something. Visibility. Display properties, double. Control W. Okay, now we have all the geometry. Right. Bring the modeler. And we want to extrude these polygons. So face, and it's a singlish loop. No, face is in extrude mode. We want to do polygroup island. Let's see what that does. Yeah, we need to freeze the subdiv levels first. And there we go. So I'll do it once and do it again. And here I'm going to scale it. Well, let's just go straight. One more time. And then This is why I don't really like to do this in ZBrush. I'd rather do it in Blender. But it's still effective. So because I want to sculpt some high-res details right here, get displacement map and all that over with, and if required I'll make some adjustments in Blender. What's happening? Why is that just not framing correctly? And another thing is, because of all these triangles, it's best to take this inside ZBrush and Blender and make it a neater geometry. But right now it's only about extruding it back so it's a separate. It's something that just disappears in oblivion, and we don't even need these polygons. I might as well go ahead and delete it when we're in Blender. So that's that. So I'm going to unfreeze the subdiv levels, and it does crazy things. Why is that? No need. Yeah, let's remove the subdivision levels. So if I go back to a point, or actually in my just move it so it comes back to its position. Not sure which polygroup is this. Let me just delete this. Let me see. So if I invert it, oh right, this is the middle bit. I'm gonna delete it and so we will sculpt this, and then I'm going to remesh it so we have something that should do it. Weld points, does it work? Go back to, what is it, clay build-up, mask, give some resolution, have subdivs now, so no issues. Okay. Invert. This is good. I'm just gonna round the edges. Okay, now for the details. This image here has some clues. This is actually a solid image for reference as well. Look at the close-up is amazing on this. So you see here, so we are basically going to sculpt those little ridges and then some that go horizontal along the circumference. So firstly, take standard brush, to sculpt this. Just manually, I'm not using any stamps or anything here. There's actually an alpha that might help here. It's this one. Not too bad. But I'm also going to get clay build up and sort of break it up a bit, because I'll put 6. So you see here, there's quite a bit happening. So yeah, it is quite irregular, isn't it? So we can do something like exaggerate this. Just have some of those details. So these are very unique for each and every line. There's slightly different patterns going on. It's never actually the same. Okay, so I'm gonna give a bow to this. I could have done a neater job at this, but you will see that this is gonna look really good at the looked at stage. Doesn't matter if it's not exact round shape, because real eyes are never that round anyway. So I wanna just get that little shape outward, because that will help us get some shadows in look depth, right? So the light will hit this part and give us some great detail, while it can this slope that goes back is gonna help us get some shadow. So thinking of all that, maybe just going artistically here now, not looking at the reference, but yeah, that's what I want. Some bumps here that could be hit by the light and show up in our renders. I'm going to duplicate this fellow and see what Z-remesher can do for me. Nice, but maybe keep the groups. Rubbish, so let's I don't know, yeah, don't need the groups, but I'm gonna try an alternative algorithm. So when clicking Z-remesher, you can click Alt to try the legacy Z-remesher algorithms to see if it works better on. Ah, it actually does work better. And nice quad geometry everywhere. There, this is beautiful. I mean, it'll do the job. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this part at the back. I might not need anything there. So let's not do anything now. We can always delete that bit in ZBrush, right? Sorry, I keep saying ZBrush. It's Blender. I mean Blender. I am in ZBrush. Okay, so what do you want? So I want to make this a little bit more round. Why does it do that? It's moving the whole geometry. That means the brush size might be too small for it. I don't know. Or I'm too zoomed in. Yeah, see that? Yeah, I mean ZBrush has always done that with the move topological brush. Um, but I never understood the logic behind it. Yeah, back even in 20 ZBrush 3.5, 4.5, like 10, 15 years ago, It was the same thing with the move topological brush. So that's good, but what I want is to project the high res details onto this one. So subdivide the geometry, say 4 times. We're looking to 56,000, maybe 5, and then I'm going to just do a projection C. So I'm going to hide all the subtools except the one above, like this. Go to projection and project all. See what's that's given me. Everything good. The only beef is that this sort of the hole in the middle, right? That's not round enough, not circular. So that circular shape, I'll try and get it inside Blender when I delete some of these faces. Just try to do my best manually first. And if I'm okay with it, maybe I'll skip it. Okay, so that's done, and we have our model already sent to Blender for UV unwrapping. We shall try and UV unwrap the eyes as well while we're at it, so why not just go solo again. In here, let's separate into different subtools, like oops, not like that. Go back to rectangle, invert, and lasso again, invert, hide this loop, now it's circular, get this, and we don't want this bit in the middle, so is there an option in polygroup that might regroup visible, no, group so something straight groups, or how about auto groups? Auto groups, yeah. So that will separate this guy. So we have 3 groups, which is cool. That does it. Maybe I'll do a better eye at a later stage, but for now, to begin our look dev and texturing process, we're good. So one thing I want to do is make sure there's symmetry in polygrouping as well before we do the UV unwrapping. Okay, that looks better. So Z plugin, UV master, work on clone. And then Z plugin again, everything being the same, just click unwrap, C plugin flatten. So that's how it's looking. Not perfect because I don't want any seams for this ideally, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll do this in Blender. There's no need to worry too much. This is fine, but this green bit, yeah, could be better. So we'll work on that. C plugin, unflatten, and copy UVs, and back to our original mesh. Just paste it. Amazing. Now let's send this fellow. In fact, we can just send this high res mesh and then create another low resolution mesh inside Blender that's much more neater for the displacement map, etc. But hey, just to have something in Blender, we just send this guy over same way as we did before, which is what plugin did we use? Was that multi-map exporter? Yeah, that's the one. Flip UV, sorry, flip V, and create all maps. Just checking that we're on the right subtool. Call it eyes base UV. That is sent. So let's go into Blender and arrange our tiles before we start to extract maps. That is saved. I'm going to close ZBrush for now. I'll just get everything set up in Blender and then maybe call it a day. That's all the time. Don't have too much time today, but I'm glad at least I got this far. So import, we're importing an OBJ. So OBJ line base and OBJ I base UV. Oh, it's a weird name. And it might be quite tiny. Oh, it's actually huge. Opposite of tiny. It's okay. I mean, it's probably best to re-import. Front OBJ 0.01 scale, and then we select these two objects. Just move like it. Still, if you look at the dimensions, it's 11.9 meters. That is huge. So if I drop in a cube, that's how big is a 2-meter cube. So this should, and both these should be way smaller. I mean, we will adjust the scales later anyway before we start the texturing. How about this? Yeah, so it's 1,000 times smaller, not 100. So that's right. And we need to obviously position him and all that, but I wanna once I do the tiles correctly, I'll export him back, rather re-import him back in ZBrush, and then save that file, and then we'll be ready for creating the maps, the displacements, and so on with the UDEMY tiles, etc. So yeah, not really bothered about getting him on the ground just yet. It's the next version that we will be setting up for texturing. Okay, let's bring another window here to just view the UVs. Let's go here. Where's UV editor? This is what we have. So what I'm going to do next, not now because we are coming to a close for today. So I just click Control L, and here if I say UVs, we can isolate like parts of the model. So now I can just say select this guy and say rotate 180, scale, so it takes all of the tiles, and usually for faces, you know, in order to get the maximum UV space, we tend to make it diagonal like this to be able to use the maximum tile space. But there's also another school of thought which wants everything to be symmetrical like this. So when you go into Mari and other software, you just work on one side and, I don't know, just mirror across. But for organic creatures, I really never do that anyway. So I tend to go with this approach, try and get maximum space of the tile. And for now, move everything to up by space. So GY1 will move it 1 unit up, because there are other things here that we need to worry about. So now if I say A, or Control A, in the viewport A, so you have all the other ones. Therefore, now it's just a case of selecting each and every island, move them away, and try and keep it to, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 tiles. 8 tiles for something like this is more than enough, I think. So I'm going with that. So I'll complete this, arrange everything into different UV tiles, and then bring it back into ZBrush for final bits and bobs before we begin the texturing. So I hope that is clear. There's no need for me to bore you guys. When I do this, I'll just finish it and I'll show you the final result in the next stream. So until then, let me save this file and then I'll bid you all goodbye. So F ZBrush projects, where are you? No, actually, Lion. Here I'm going to create a folder. Here actually, say Blender UV tiling. That's it. So yeah, I'll come back in the next session and I'll continue and show you how to extract maps once we've done with the UVs. Get our displacement maps, normal maps, maybe cavity, and then use that as a basis to begin our texture painting inside Mari. Yes, the fun stuff is just about to begin. So thank you for watching so far, and I'll see you all in the next stream. Until then, it's goodbye.